Hi everybody, Metha here, and I'm going down my favorites list on fanfiction.net. For those of you who don't know, I'm looking at my favorites list and sorting them by publication date, and then rereading them from the oldest to the newest to see whether they still deserve a spot on my list. And now I've got 6 more stories that I'm going to go through and tell you guys what they are. So, first on the list is the Untitled Cheekquel Project by nonjon. This is a sequel story, and I think the first actual sequel fic that has come up on this list. I don't count the second part of the Final Fantasy VII novelization because, as that's one story. It's one story that's broken up for not really any reason. Like, this one is also a lot like that in the sense that, like, you kind of have to know the first one, but that's pretty much with any sequel. You can just jump in if you really wanted to onto this one without knowing the previous stuff. But it's a sequel. It's from a fic that I really liked and I found really funny, and it stayed on my list. What about this one? It's more of the same. It's more of the super cheeky humor, more of the, like, smirking, like, stupidity. A lot of, like, Harry bending magic over and doing really stupid shit to it and just doing ridiculous stunts. And it's funny. All of it's fun. It's a great time. I'm super glad I reread it, and it's definitely staying on my list. Alright. So, what's next on the list? Next is, Lily Potter and the Worst Holiday. So, this one's a shorter one, about 28,000 words, and that says a lot when I consider that short. It's not exactly short for a book. I mean, it's maybe a light novel. I'm not getting into semantics, it doesn't matter. It's short for my list, and is it good? I think so. It's a serious fic, which, yes, is a slight difference from all the humor ones that I've got, but it's a serious fic that follows Lily Potter in 97 of Halloween. So, and it's not like shifted timelines or anything, it's just Lily Potter survived that night, and now it's 1997 Halloween, and all of a sudden 6 strangers show up in the middle of a Hogsmeade trip, and she has to deal with them. I think the whole story, aside from the epilogue, takes place like in that one night. So things move fast, and it moves at a quick pace. Like there's no scenes of just like wasted time, really. Every scene has a point. Everything's moving fast. Yes, it's a bit of a jump that, like, the only real character emotions that we see is Lily's. The other characters in there get, like, you can kind of see it, but the point of view is Lily's. So even though it's written in third person, we're only following her, so we only really see inside her head. We don't see inside the others. So that causes a bit of, and the fast pace means that you don't really see the build up with the other people in regards to the situation. But you see hers very well, and it's also, since it's so fast, there's no wasted time. Everything it works fast. It's a good story, and it's a good serious fic. I like it a lot, and it's definitely staying on my list. And then number 3 is another Kingdom Hearts fic, which again follows Yuffie, as is my want for Kingdom Hearts, called Switch. And alright, so what's the plot? Yuffie finds a potion by Merlin's house in Traverse Town, and it breaks and falls, and her and Aerith get caught up in it, and then they switch bodies. And then, Yuffie's like, hey, I'm gonna use this as a way to find out how people feel about me and do this stuff like that. If the story actually followed through, I'd like it more. I remember liking this fic a lot when I first read it, and now I there's problems with the thing that just kept shooting out at me as I was going through it. Like, you know, the whole idea is, okay, Yuffie's gonna pretend to be Aerith, and Aerith's gonna pretend to be Yuffie because they don't want to freak everybody out, or at least that's what Yuffie tells Aerith. But in reality, it's because Yuffie wants to actually, you know, be appreciated. Also, try and get with Leon, and because Leon likes Aerith, and also wants to have Aerith see how she's treated. The problem is, like, right off the bat, pretty much every single person that interacts with them, except for Cloud, who's also staying with them for some reason at this point, everybody else figures out immediately that they've switched. And so all of Yuffie's points are gone. There's no reason for her to continue this, and she should just stop. Like, they're like, okay, and Aerith was all for telling them in the first place, and so I don't see why, like, there's narratively, there's no reason to continue this facade, and goes on. It doesn't build up. It doesn't, like, film of neither Aerith nor Yuffie, like, grow and, like, say, like, oh, this is how they actually treat the other person, or, like, this is what I have to do, and they don't gain respect for anything or anything like that. Once that whole ploy's gone, there's no reason to do it except for, oh, Aerith and Cloud are a semi thing, and then all of a sudden Cloud kisses her one time. Cloud kisses Yuffie because she's in Aerith's body one time, and all of a sudden Yuffie now has a huge crush on Cloud and just wants to be with him. Okay, whatever. Maybe it'll get interesting. Maybe the whole switching thing will get more. Nope, halfway through the story, that's gone. It's fucking done. And then, you know, it moves on. It's like, okay, maybe. And also, it makes us feel. It makes. The whole switch gets revealed by, like, them taking the reveal potion, and then Yuffie goes to confess to Cloud that, like, I love you, but I'm not actually Aerith, and then she switches, like, her body changes back to Yuffie's body, and Cloud, rightfully, gets pissed off, and is like, you lied to me, and all this stuff. And then Yuffie runs away, and, like, flies to a different city, or world, in this place, and, like, goes away for a bit, and, like, the way it's written is like, Cloud's an asshole for this. Wow, yeah, that totally makes sense. No, fuck you. That's, oh my god. And then later on, like, Tifa comes back and is like, oh, Tifa has the hots for Cloud. Is she gonna break up Yuffie's relationship? And, like, is she gonna... It'd be more of a threat if she was in more than 4 scenes in this story, only 2 of which are with Cloud. Like, there's a lot of problems with this story, but at the same time, it is short. Again, 22,000 words. It doesn't have much. I don't hate this story. I just think it has a lot of it's not good. You know, it's like the first 20 minutes of a romantic comedy without much of the comedy. It's not funny, really, like, not much. It's basically just a bad fluff story. Not offensively bad. It's not gonna, like, hurt your brain cells in any way. If you don't think about it and you just turn your brain off, you can go through the motions and not see anything wrong with this. But it just, this is, like, I think this is the first one that's come off there. I have to throw it off. It's going off my list, but I think this is the first one where I'm actually disappointed in what I thought was a good story in the past. Like, I remember loving this story so much when I first read it, and now I'm just like, why did I bother? Oh man. But yeah, that is off my list. So what we got? Number 4 is Number 4 is Odd Ideas by Rorschach's Blot, and this is just a dumping ground. You know, what is a dumping ground? Let me just explain that. A dumping ground is basically a story that's really just a collection of all of a writer's ideas that they haven't fully fleshed out yet, or stuff that they just feel has no place but they want to share with people, things like that. This one is just focused on Harry Potter. No, there's a couple crossovers later on, but again, the main focus is always Harry and the Harry Potter universe. Well, actually, I don't even say that. It's a Harry Potter. It's always focused on that. Some people put multiple things together. Some people will keep them separate. It's all different. So, basically, each chapter is usually unrelated to the previous one. Sometimes they will connect in multiple cases, but it's meant to just be a dumping ground of unfinished stuff that could be a jumping off point for other people, or could eventually grow into a fic of themselves. A few of these, in the early chapters, he did make into full-fledged stories, which I have enjoyed tremendously. So that's what a dumping ground is. Now, what do I think about this one? I like it a lot. I like most of these stories. There's only one collection. Basically, there's one story in this whole collection that I don't really care for, and that's the Mercy series, which is really rather recent. I think it was just made. There's 3 or I can't remember how many chapters there are of it that he's done, but that's the only one that I can't read. Otherwise, any other chapter, I'll open it up and I'll be happy, and it'll put a smile on my face. This has been going on, this one collection has been going on from 2005 to just in December 29th was when it just last updated. So 13 years, and you can clearly see an evolution in writing over the time. The early ones are usually short and disjointed. A couple times he's gone back and reworked and expanded the previous chapters that he worked on previously. It's interesting to just not only see the growth, but the ideas that he comes up with. Yes, I'd love a lot of these. I'd love to see them in a bigger story, and I would really wish for that. But what I got is still really good, and what's there is fun, and I'm glad that I saw it. So yeah, this collection is definitely staying on my list. Alright. Next, we've got Valiant Shinji. So this is Evangelion, where Shinji has an over-the-top heroic personality, based on the heroes from comic books of the 50s and stuff like that. Okay, and it's played for laughs. It could totally work. You get him in a depressive setting, and then he's just fucking with people's minds by acting this whole way. Yeah, great. Does it work? And does it pull it off? Kinda. The issue is there's not enough of it. It doesn't. This was unfinished. It gets to the 4th angel, which is the second fight, and that's about. And it's mostly, again, a lot of times just the joke of, oh, Shinji reacts in an unexpected way, and everybody else is going crazy. There's other jokes in there too, which, yeah, I did find funny, but it's. The other writing is generic. A lot of the jokes are just one joke. A lot of the characters essentially become one joke that just gets repeated over and over. Ritsuko's got the one joke that every time she's on there, everything, any dialogue or anything related to it ends up with that. Misato has similar kind of thing where anything becomes that one joke. It's always just constantly. There's a lot of crossovers in cameos, because for some reason this writer wanted to flesh out the actual classroom, even though later on there's a meta joke of how he doesn't flesh out the characters, but they're just there just to be there. Nothing happens. It's kind of just dull, and it's again like it's like the setup of again, it's like similar to what I said with Switch, where it's like it's the first part of a movie, or like interesting, or it has like the tone of like that. Switch I should actually go back, like Switch wasn't the first like 30 minutes. It was like that's a romantic comedy without the comedy, and like just a badly written one. This one is more, because it's unfinished nature, that is more the first 15 minutes or 20 minutes of a like C grade comedy film, or C or B or C, like low B, and it just doesn't get enough time to do anything with it. There's bits of laughter that can be spawned. It's like it's not again not super terrible. Better than Switch, I will say that. It's the what's there is still okay, but compared to the other comedies on my on my list, where I've said like, oh, this was stupid, but it's super funny and made me laugh a lot. Like here, I laughed going back and rereading it. I laughed maybe once, like hard, and otherwise like there's a bunch of grins, but it's not funny enough to stay on my list, especially not for the fact that it's incomplete, doesn't have much time to grow, and it's not super interesting in the writing outside of the humor. So yeah, it's going off my list. And now finally for this video is Exact Change, which is a Ranma 1/2 fic. So I think I mentioned this in my why I like fanfic videos and stuff like that, but maybe if I haven't, I'll just say it again. There's certain tropes in fiction and anime that are part of the genre for things, harem comedies especially, which Ranma 1/2 is, and that one is the playful abuse angle, and like, you know, that Love Hina, I can't stand it anymore. I remember I used to be able to, I guess, like I didn't have that much of a problem with it when I was younger. I just remember growing up, as I got older, probably like just when I was like about to graduate high school, I mean not high school, college, it got really annoying to me to see that, and I really started hating any story that had that stuff in it. And so I was all set to drop this from my list when I was when I started rereading it. I was just like, oh, this is it's I don't think it's gonna be good. It's probably shit. I'm probably gonna drop it. I am so glad that I actually went and reread it, because this one is, you know, it's nothing. It's not like, oh my god, it's the best thing ever. It's like, but this is good. It's good and interesting, and it focuses on the middle sister, Nabiki, and it shows an evolution of her character, which is done well. It's done in a way that is realistic, because what happens to her throughout this story shows her different facets of herself. It shows her, you know, shows her things she's overlooked, and it has, in those moments, have impact. And they're like, okay, this happened, and I feel like she feels something, and it's like, okay, you can see where the gears are like, okay, I have to change in this, and it makes her a better person and more of a tolerable character. It also sidesteps the whole, well, it doesn't sidestep the abuse. It takes it in a way that I can at least appreciate and handle, where it happens, like in the very early scene, the abuse happens, but it's the first scene is played for last, but then afterwards it's like, no, it's taken as like, yes, this is a serious problem and it should not be happening. And like, I get that the whole thing is like, yeah, you play it for laughs, and it's just I don't like it. So, and I think even when I was putting stuff on my list, I did still feel that way. So most of the fics that you'll see from those things might flip that script, or just say like take away the playfulness and treat it as a fucking problem, which I believe it is. But anyway, let's go back to this story. It's short, it's got 6 parts and an epilogue, and the epilogue, yeah, it's a little too tidy, you know. It fixes up everything, like every single problem in the whole series gets tied up and fixed with a bow, which, okay, it fits too perfectly, but I don't mind those kind of things itself. I feel like I have to say it as like a critique that it's too perfect, but I enjoyed it. It makes me feel good to see happy things happen, you know, having a happy ending. Oh, sorry, I like those, you know. But this is a good story with interesting character growth, and it deserves a spot on my list. And this is actually one that like illustrates why I'm rereading every single one of these lists. So these first impressions, or like early impressions, don't make me toss off something that I will truly enjoy and deserves a spot here. So there we go. 6 more lists down on the thing. Hopefully you guys like this. Thank you for anybody who's watching, who likes, and if you like it, please like the video. If you want to continue with me on my journey, please subscribe. You know, I'll come up with more videos and more stuff. And thanks all for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.